Welcome to, I guess, the segment where we eat some crow. These are collectively our worst takes from the 2025-2026 football season, both college and pro. All three of us went and did some digging and came up with three of what we think are our worst takes.
Two or three.
I had plenty. Two or three. I had plenty. So, if you're for some reason, watching this and you're like, I know this guy had a bad take about this, look, I had to choose three. I can't sit here for an hour and just start rattling through them. So, if you can think of one that I had previously or any of us had previously, feel free to throw it in the comments. But we're just addressing two or three. These will be our worst takes. I can kick us off. I'll go through mine real quick. My first one, and this is college football. During the Indiana football preview we did, I said that they essentially were a Tier 2 Big Ten team trying to break through into that top tier up with Oregon, Ohio State, even potentially a Michigan. And I didn't, say specifically they cannot do it, but I did say I did not see it happening. It did happen. They did win the national championship. They did go undefeated. Their quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, is going to go first overall. Their head coach won Coach of the Year. Fantastic season from them. Horrible take from me. Any thoughts on that, or I'll keep rolling?
Well, I one of my worst takes is also an Indiana one, so I'll just go ahead and segue into it, and that is that we had a superlatives segment of our final big college football show.
Yes.
One of the superlatives that we had to do was pick the team that we thought was going to regress the most, and our reasoning for that would be in terms of wins. How would they Indiana last year won 11 games, and so would they drop to 7 or 6 games, and that would be the most regress.
Sure.
Indiana was my most regressed team this year. I did expect them to a lot due to the schedule, and also I did not like Fernando Mendoza whatsoever. That's pretty famous for that, and that I thought Fernando was going to be really bad this year because his footwork was terrible at Cal. He improved on that a lot this year, but Indiana was my most regressed team. I felt like they had no chance at Penn State, at Oregon, of course. And then there were a few, the Illinois game. I would have picked Illinois at the beginning of the year. So I was also low on the Hoosiers coming into the year.
Sure.
That changed throughout the year, but I was very low on them coming into the season.
Yeah. Can I make that one of my best takes that I was just never that low on Indiana?
No, sorry. No, sorry. Yeah, they might end up being the most progressed team. The opposite maybe was true. So that is tough. We'll kind of go in a circle then if you want to give one of your worst takes.
Yeah, I can go and give one of my worst takes. I try to stay pretty active in our YouTube comment section because I sit at my desk all day and have plenty of time to do that. And so if I see someone comment on YouTube on one of our videos or on TikTok, I try and go and engage with them. I believe this was actually technically during a live stream, and it may have been with one of our regular listeners. I couldn't go back and find the exact quote, but this was early in the season, maybe even in the offseason, talking about quarterbacks and this draft. And I said roughly that I think that there are going to be 3 or 4 guys who could go number 1 and 5 or 6 guys who go in the first round. And I'll go and list off some of the names that I know I had on there. Cade Klubnik, Drew Aller, Garrett Nussmeier, Lenore Sellers, Dante Moore. There were probably more that I forgot about. And now none of those guys are going to go in the first round of the 2026 NFL draft. And so my confidence in the how good this QB draft class was going to be.
One of them could go, maybe. Most likely not.
Yeah, maybe Genus. That's the hope I'll hold on to. But yeah, that was a terrible take for me. I have loved this draft class. And I mean, even last year, talking about the NFL draft, it was like, well, we're going to have Arch, and we're going to have Drew Aller, who came back for another year, and Cade, who came back for another year, and Garrett, who came back for another year, and then all these young guys like Dante Moore, like Lenore Sellers. I mean, I thought the sky was the limit for this draft class, and I was very wrong. So that
now it's next year's class, though.
It is. I mean,
it's gonna be so. We're just gonna keep
2 of those guys are already part of next year's class.
Then we'll have Arch Manning a part of that class.
We'll have DJ Lagway in that class.
Maybe Stockton.
Dylan Raiola is actually gonna gonna redshirt at Oregon, but he's gonna have such good practices. He's gonna get drafted in the first round.
Mm-hmm. Nico Imaliata.
That is a joke. I don't want this clipped for next year's worst takes. Dylan Raiola drafted in the first round. Do we want to snake draft this and I can go and give another one, or you want to? You got a segue?
I can just keep going.
Do it.
I had the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl as well as the Mahomes MVP, and I felt really good about it because they're the Kansas City Chiefs and they have been kind of a wagon, and the wheel's still off the wagon this year. They didn't make the playoffs. Mahomes ACL. Unfortunately, JP was potentially right about that. Is that on your best takes?
That was an honorable mention.
Sure. JP did call for the Mahomes, not call for as in like I want this to happen. He was not advocating for an injury. I probably could pull up some text about him being very sad about it, but he kind of predicted it. And it did happen.
It's unfortunate that it was in the show that we lost to the Void.
That is true.
I was able to find a clip of it. It was in the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because it got re-referenced.
Yeah.
I think the initial referencing was lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was way off on that one. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really hate my thought process, but very much missed the mark.
Yeah, it's weird.
I got to read the tea leaves better.
Yeah, it's one of those, and I feel
like
the
what
same.
I'm gonna get to next. I'm like, okay, I was really stupid for that.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's like there's a difference between a bad take where you're like, yeah, I was stupid, and a bad take where I was like even your Indiana take, I feel like you should be like, oh, I was stupid for not seeing 16-0 coming. Like I feel like it's just like, okay, I was just
they were the losingest program in college football
Correct.
history coming into the season.
Yeah. So I do think that there's like, different tiers of bad takes.
Sometimes your process is good, and then, just unforeseen things happen. Sometimes your process is horrible.
Yeah.
What do you got, JP?
I had the Las Vegas Raiders making the postseason.
Yep.
And going 9-8, stealing the final spot, and being, the 7 seed. I felt like Geno was going to have a really, really good year.
Yep.
Better than Justin Herbert, you probably thought.
I did probably think, he was going to have a better year than Justin Herbert. I thought, there was some sound reasoning to it. I'm not the only person in, the sports media world. That's right, I'm putting myself in the sports media world who had a take similar to this nature. Nick Wright also had the Raiders in the postseason for largely similar reasons that I did. That, of course, did not happen. They have the number 1 overall pick in the draft. So we are well off of that. Of 9-8, they only won 1/3 of those games, winning just 3. Geno led the league in interceptions and
sacks.
He led the league in sacks
in the regular season.
So yeah, we missed on that one. Sadly, the Raiders were nowhere close. Even after a Week 1 victory over the New England Patriots.
Yep, which is so funny to think about now.
Yes, absolutely diabolical that they had, that kind of win and then went the way they did. A lot of it was, maybe you could say injuries here and there, the team punting on themselves here and there. But realistically, looking back on it, I don't know how you look at that roster in the preseason and make a conclusion like that.
Yeah,
without being delusional about the quarterback.
Sure.
Like I was, and I clearly was with Geno Smith. So I thought, Geno might carry
You're
the
pumping
roster
up your
around
guy
him.
a little too much.
This will be, a learning moment for don't necessarily make takes based off of heart.
Sure.
Especially when it's not your own team.
Yeah.
I'm free to do that with the New Orleans Saints, but to do that with Geno and the Raiders was a clear mistake. But like Jack said, next year, though,
yeah,
Raiders, Fernando Mendoza, 7 seed.
I think I had them.
Fernando Mendoza might get sacked 81 times.
I think I had them winning 6 or 7 games, so I was off on them too.
That's tough.
It is tough.
That you had them winning that many games.
I think I probably had, and maybe things break differently. They can win a couple more, but they probably were not even going to get to 7, much less 9. 9, shout out 9.
Yeah. I think
I have a really good 9 moment coming.
Oh, boy. Perfect.
I one of my worst takes of the season was another comment that I left. That's how it's helpful for me to remember. I don't remember stuff I say, but when I type something out, I usually remember it. I have a screenshot actually. I'm not gonna show it on screen. I don't think. Wait, if I just no, I can't. Okay. Here's a screenshot that I'll read for y'all. This was our Seattle Seahawks off whatever we called it, 2025 preview or whatever. Talking about we were all, I believe, I know you were low on Sam Darnold. I know I was low on Sam Darnold. You were probably low. We all thought that the move from Geno to Sam was a downgrade.
We'll get to me being
I
low
thought it
on
was
Sam
a
Darnold
downgrade.
in probably 2 minutes.
I 100% thought it was a downgrade.
I thought it was a downgrade.
But I wouldn't say I was necessarily as low on Darnold as you guys.
Yeah, I thought it was a downgrade, and someone was talking about it, and I said they were like, "Well, you don't know Sam Darnold," and my response was, "Well, as for not knowing Sam Darnold, he hadn't thrown for 20-plus touchdowns until this last year." Talking about his year with the Vikings, he's thrown for double-digit picks every season that he's had more than 150 pass attempts. He has not completed more than 62% of his passes, which would be 37th in the NFL among qualifying quarterbacks in 2024 until this last season. He hadn't recorded a PFF offensive grade above 66 until this last season. And yes, he's done all those things now, but he did it with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. And here's the part I highlighted in red. And as much as I love JSN, he's not Justin Jefferson. Now, he may very well have turned a page in his career. Thank you. May have turned a page in his career. But you don't know Sam Darnold if you're assuming he's guaranteed to put up another campaign like 2024. So, yeah.
Well, to be fair, to give you some credits, he did throw for double-digit picks again this year. He led the league in turnovers. He had 14 interceptions. But other than that,
yeah. Other than that, yeah.
Tough.
Bad take.
Here's my question to the Geno Smith truther of the group. Could Geno Smith have done what Sam Darnold did with this Seahawks roster?
We made this kind of argument earlier in an earlier show. I do think to a degree, but I also don't think,
including the large number of picks thrown.
He definitely could have thrown the picks, of course. I mean, he did that this year.
I think he has that in him.
But I think
he could have done that with any roster, though.
I don't necessarily think he would have done what Sam did in the playoffs. That's where Sam deserves a ton of credit with the way he played at the beginning of the season, and then the way he played in the postseason, not turning the ball over, and then specifically the way he played against the Rams. What's kind of being lost, though, in the Darnold love, which, yes, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback with the amount of playoff games he won. 3, he's going to rise on my board, of course, as a playoff wins guy. But his stats were not that great this year. His stats were strikingly different than they were in Minnesota. He was a downgrade in pretty much every single category and statistic. He just had, an elite defense, and he performed when the moments were the brightest. That's where he deserves a ton of credit, is how he performed against Los Angeles and kind of how he performed in the beginning of the year, and then more specifically, how he was able to respond to throwing 4 picks in the first Rams game, throwing 2 picks in the first half of that Rams game, and then for the next 6 quarters against the Rams, he was amazing. Yeah. Against what was, if not the best football team in the league.
Kind of sounds like Eli Manning, right? Eli Manning was not known for having Peyton Manning-esque seasons with 5,000 passing yards and 50 touchdowns. But when the playoffs hit and when he faced Tom Brady, he did what needed to be done. He hits Victor Cruz and he hits Mario Manningham? Is that right? Mario Manningham. And got the job done. So, yeah, that's a bad take from me.
Mario Manningham and David Tyree with the Tyree catch.
Yep. And I thought I was high on JSN because I had him in a keeper league and I was super excited to keep him. I just was not that high on him.
Not high enough, obviously.
Yeah, he had an elite year. I remember fantasy football perspective, he was being drafted around 36. He'd fall into the 40s in some drafts. And, yeah, he would have deserved, in a redraft, he would go top 3. If you knew what the results of the season were going to be, it would probably be him, Puka Nacua, and CMC as your top 3 picks.
Oh, that's why, as someone in a league we all were in ended up with Puka and JSN.
Yep.
And they were a pain in the ass to play against because at least one of them was going off every week. That segues well into my last bad take I will present to y'all, and that's I had the Seahawks going 7-10. I was the lowest on Sam Darnold out of the 3 of us. Some phrases that come to mind from the TikTok that were made is he's not built for the big moments. He folds like a cheap suit in those moments. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Jalen Milroe taking starting snaps.
These are direct quotes from you.
Yes, correct.
That's fire. I forgot that you thought, and I think I jumped on that train because I also had them going 7-10.
Yeah, and I didn't.
You led me astray.
No.
You took me down a path that I should
be stronger. And all that's really bad. In slight defense of myself, I was never sold on Jalen Milroe being the guy. I more so was like Milroe's going to take starting snaps because Darnold's really bad. So don't take this as I love Jalen Milroe.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not that makes the take any better.
Yeah.
But I'm just not trying to compound. There's not multiple bad takes here.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
I'm not a Jalen Milroe truther. Sanders is. That's definitely one of Sanders' guys. I mean, Alabama alum.
Nope.
And was on your fantasy team that won it all.
It did win it all. Shout out him for that. Appreciate him for his contributions.
But
JP?
Yeah, a really, really poor take for me. That's my worst, easily, in my opinion.
My worst take is I had the Carolina Panthers on 0-17 watch, and I officially
Hall of Fame bad take.
Yeah, when we put them our official predictions for the season in, I had them going 4-13. In the TikTok, I had them going 2-15. This is still probably our most hated on TikTok. If it's second to anything, it's second to my New Orleans Saints winning the division TikTok.
Yeah.
In terms of this is a unbelievably garbage take. You have the Chris Collinsworth. Now here's a guy who doesn't know ball. You're a dumbass is a good one that's been used a ton. That was actually the most liked comment on the Carolina Panthers TikTok.
Sick.
This take got so bad to the point where we had to make an entire segment on the show of me apologizing to Carolina Panthers fans.
Yeah.
So it takes the cake.
Would you then turned it into but I still think I'm kind of right.
And
well, he got his Bryce Young takes off.
Yeah.
Still.
I got my Bryce Young takes off. I said, don't go lose to the Saints. They ended up losing to the Saints twice.
That is
Tyler
true.
Shuck twice. So, in my opinion, I felt like I got the last laugh this year, even though they won the division at 8-9. There's still plenty of. I'm not going to go on the Bryce Young tangent again.
Yeah, that's good.
This was my worst take
of
the year, and I can't wait to make it again next year. It would actually be hilarious if I made the exact same TikTok again.
Let's just repost it. I'll just repost the exact same TikTok.
Yeah, we just change
the schedule.
There you go. I may feel the same way. Now, in part, the reason I felt this way is the roster. You looked at the roster. What was name one guy you loved coming into the season, and we had pushback of course Bryce Young, but Chuba Hubbard being a top 5 running back in the NFL.
It was top 10. They were top 10, which he wasn't before or this season.
Yeah, he was not even close. We didn't know what we were going to get from Ted McMillan, but if you remember going into the draft, it was kind of a question of does this guy even deserve to be a high first-round receiver for sure, but maybe even a first-round receiver in general. And then, there was a few people that, of course, said Derek Brown, which he deserved that. And then J.C. Horn was one that was missed. He had an excellent, excellent year this year.
It wasn't missed by. I mean, we were wrong, but he hadn't played a full season yet.
Correct.
And so that was kind of
that was our logic.
Yeah, we were like, we just can't name him a top 10 cornerback when he hasn't played a complete season. He played a complete season and played like a top 10 corner, and credit to him. And like, I will not try to take that away from him. That's just like another defense of why people who pushed back about, we have this top 10 player and this top 10. J.C. Horn was not one we gave. Derek Brown, I 100% was like, yeah, that makes sense. But we were wrong. But it was due to injury and not the player.
With that though, Carolina helped me in a huge way, and I'll get into that in my best takes.
Oh boy, okay.
Very soon.
I'll go ahead and wrap up my worst takes.
Wrap up your worst stock market moves.
Yeah, I decided that for my worst takes and also my best takes, I would go to the Technical Fowl stock market because it's one of my favorite segments we do on the show, and I hope we kick it off next year and maybe even take it up a level. Who knows what that will look like. But I decided that my criteria would be it would be a stock that I differentiated from both of y'all. So if y'all both bought, I had to sell. If y'all both sold, I had to buy. And so I'll go ahead and list the 3 that I found that fit that criteria, and I was very wrong on. Week 6. Actually, let's start at the beginning. Week 2, JMU will represent the G5 in college football playoff. Y'all both bought this stock, and I sold it.
Go Dukes.
And yeah, that was not necessarily like a terrible whiff from me because there are a lot of G5 teams at week 2 that's early to be on it. But it's because I put it as a terrible miss by me, a bad take by me, because I'm sitting next to 2 guys who like are making me look like an idiot. I will also say y'all both then 30 seconds later bought USF to represent the G5 in the playoffs as well. Mm-hmm. So
we were really close on
there
that
was
one.
Good value.
Yeah. So I sold on JMU representing G5, which they then went around and did well. In the weeks leading up to on social media, the fan base was awesome. On the field, not as much, but
they put together a couple good
drives. They did put together some good drives. That was not
ignore the defense.
They definitely had the second best performance against Oregon in the playoff.
Yeah.
To the national champions, meaning there's an argument for them to being the second best team in the country.
Third best. It'd be national champions Oregon and then them.
True. Okay. Third best. That works.
Week 3.
I'm good with that, yeah.
Iowa State, Utah, and Texas Tech are all the top tier of the Big 12. Y'all both sold this. JP, you can't say anything because the reason you sold it is because you still thought Kansas State was going to turn it around. So I don't want to hear anything about how you were a BYU truther from the beginning. You were a Kansas State fan at this point.
Why did I sell it?
Oh, that's a good question. I can't remember. I have to go back and rewatch it. I think you were also in the Kansas State train.
No, I was low because I was never an Avery guy.
Okay, maybe not.
For context, this is the immediately following
their second loss.
Kansas State second loss,
yeah.
And Arizona State losing here in Starkville.
I might have still been. I maybe still would have put Arizona State in this category. I don't know. That's probably what it was.
I bought it, and then turned out being wrong. BYU kind of came not from nowhere because they went 10-2 the year before, 11-1 the year before.
Yeah, but they were still like bottom. I think it was 5th worst odds to win the conference.
Yeah.
The Iowa State piece is also which I don't think any of us made our decisions based on Iowa State not being in the top tier, but they ended up clearly not being a top tier Big 12 team by the end of the season.
Yeah, so I bought it, and then BYU came from kind of nowhere. Like you said, they were bottom 5 at that point as far as Big 12 odds went, and then ended up going to the Big 12 championship and losing to Texas Tech. So yeah, those are there was that one, and then my final worst stock market move that I made was Alabama will make the SEC championship. This was in week 6. So this is week 1 was Florida State. Week 2 was Wisconsin. It was either Wisconsin or their easy team in those two. The Southeast Louisiana. There was those 2 teams in there, and then week 4, week 5, and week 6, I believe, is when they started their super tough stretch of Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Georgia. That was all in there, and this was in there in the midst of winning all those games. And I sold. Y'all both bought. And Alabama did indeed make the SEC championship game. So I was wrong about that, and y'all were both right.
I'm very proud I stayed the course. I'm not going to blame you too much. It's a pretty common and smart move to emotional hedge by making that pick because, hey, if I'm wrong on the podcast in terms of I sell and I do make it, still a win for me. Me being you and you being a Bama fan because your team.
They're also a very emotional fan base. They wanted to fire Kalen DeBoer at least 4 or 5 times at this point in his 2-year run. So we're probably still in the wanting to fire Kalen DeBoer territory.
Yeah, can you speak on that as part of the fan base? Are y'all ready to get rid of him? Do y'all think he deserves a couple more years?
What's the temperature? Y'all so much.
What's the temperature?
I hate both of y'all. I haven't talked to an Alabama fan besides your fiance and probably since the last time I spoke to Tucker, which was I called him a month and a half ago, 2 months ago.
Did you speak to Brittany this week?
Oh, freak, you're right, I did. But I actually
shout out Brittany.
I won't say on this podcast what I said to her about Alabama because I don't cuss on the podcast. But I did say something about Alabama to her, and she laughed. She thought it was funny, but
yeah,
I actually said you were there, JP.
I mean, that's friendly fire.
I told you I would say it in the mic if you. And
oh yeah.
I told JP that I would say it into the microphone at the meet and greet if y'all would stop calling me an Alabama fan, and he said it would have had to been on recording, and I said I was willing to do it, but we ended up not doing it. So, yeah, that's my worst take. As a not Alabama fan, I sold on them making the SEC championship, and then they proved me wrong, and they made the SEC championship. So,
sure.
Can I give an honorable mention?
Yeah. To who? Yourself or
to Jack?
Oh,
yes,
do it.
please do.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you can think, I can't think of anything for either of y'all. But yeah, do it away.
Jack was 73 and 99 when it came to picking against the spread in football games this year. 26 games below 500. The next closest was me at 84 and 88. So 4 games, so a 22 game difference.
So really, the worst take of the season was anyone which no one did this, but anyone that decided to tail me on every pick this season. That would have just.
If
been
you were
the
still
worst
doing that
decision.
after 6 weeks, you're just insane.
And it wasn't just one sport. Jack was negative 15 games in the NFL and negative 11 games in college football.
Consistency matters. Let's just say that.
Consistency does matter, and we were consistent because Sanders and I were very consistent across college football and the NFL. 1 game below 500 in the NFL, and Sanders was up 1 game in college football, and I was down 3 games in college football.
Just you wait. Totem pole coming strong from week 1 next season.
Okay.
That'll really boost my numbers.